Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sustainability Unveiled, where we explore the intersection of business, governance, and environmental action. I'm your host, Eco Voice, and today we're diving into a critical topic: the powerful influence of fossil fuel lobbying on Canada's federal climate policies in 2023. Today's episode unpacks findings from Environmental Defence Canada's report, Big Oil's Big Year, which details how major oil and gas companies have ramped up their lobbying efforts, strategically targeting key government figures and ministries to protect their interests. Let's dive in. In 2023, Canada's fossil fuel industry significantly intensified its lobbying efforts to influence federal climate policies. According to the report, 31 major oil and gas companies, along with industry associations, engaged in a staggering 1,255 meetings with federal government officials. To put this in perspective, that's nearly 5 meetings every working day of the year. The frequency of these meetings tells us a lot, but it's who they were meeting with that really highlights the industry's strategy. High-level interactions often involved multiple members of parliament, ministers, and yes, even the Prime Minister. This isn't just about the numbers. It's about access and influence at the highest levels of government. Among the most active lobbyists were the Pathways Alliance and the Canadian Association of Petroleum Producers, or CAP. Together, they held over 190 meetings, with Pathways Alliance alone logging 469 registered sessions. This group represents 6 of the largest oil sands companies, consolidating their lobbying power and using it to influence key government decisions. But who was listening? According to the report, Natural Resources Canada, or NRCan, was the most targeted ministry with 313 meetings. This included 34 meetings attended by the Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, Jonathan Wilkinson. Following closely were Environment and Climate Change Canada and Finance Canada, reflecting a clear strategy: influence the departments that directly impact climate policy and environmental regulations. High-ranking officials were often present in these meetings. Notably, assistant deputy ministers and deputy ministers participated frequently, highlighting just how deep Big Oil's access goes within the Canadian government. One assistant deputy minister at NRCan alone attended 97 lobbying meetings. The lobbying didn't stop at ministers and deputies. Members of parliament were also prime targets. The industry recorded 410 lobbying interactions with MPs, primarily focusing on the Liberal Party, including ministers and the Prime Minister. Conservative MPs were also heavily lobbied, with 196 interactions. Meanwhile, the New Democratic Party and Bloc Québécois saw significantly less engagement, reflecting the industry's strategic focus on parties with the most influence over policy decisions. So, what was Big Oil's agenda in all these meetings? Simply put, it was about protecting their profits. The industry's lobbying efforts aimed to delay, weaken, or block policies designed to reduce emissions, like the Clean Electricity Regulations and the Canadian Sustainable Jobs Act. There was also a push for increased government support for carbon capture technologies, which many argue allows fossil fuel production to continue under the guise of environmental responsibility. The implications of these lobbying efforts are profound. Historically, the fossil fuel industry's influence has been a significant barrier to ambitious climate action in Canada. Virtually every major environmental policy has faced some form of delay, dilution, or outright obstruction due to industry lobbying. In 2023, this trend continued, with Big Oil successfully tempering government ambition and shaping what is considered politically feasible. The dominance of the fossil fuel lobby poses a serious challenge to Canada's environmental and economic future. The sector is the largest source of greenhouse gas emissions in the country, and its continued expansion is in direct conflict with Canada's national and international climate commitments. So, what needs to change? Environmental Defence Canada's report makes several recommendations, starting with the call for government officials, including ministers and MPs, to cease meetings with fossil fuel lobbyists. It also emphasizes the need for greater transparency around lobbying activities and tighter regulations to counterbalance Big Oil's outsized influence. Reducing the influence of fossil fuel lobbying on government decisions is essential if Canada is to meet its climate commitments and protect future generations from the impacts of global warming. The path forward will require strong political will, increased transparency, and a firm commitment to prioritizing the planet over profits. That's all for today's episode of Sustainability Unveiled. Thank you for tuning in and joining us in exploring the forces shaping our environment. Remember, the fight for a sustainable future depends on awareness and action. Stay informed, stay engaged, and let's continue to push for policies that put our planet first. Until next time, I'm EcoVoice signing off.